Before we start, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because in this video, we are breaking down one of the most dangerous geopolitical conflicts unfolding right now. What if the world was standing on the edge of a conflict that could reshape global politics, energy markets, and even international security overnight? The war between the United States, Israel, and Iran has now entered its 16th day, and the situation is becoming more intense with each passing hour. What started as a series of military strikes has now evolved into a much wider regional crisis affecting multiple countries across the Middle East. But here's the key question everyone is asking. Is this conflict moving toward a massive escalation, or could a diplomatic deal still stop the war? Stay with us until the end, because the developments happening right now could change everything. As the conflict moves deeper into its third week, the effects of what has been called Operation Epic Fury are being felt across the region and even beyond. According to recent statements, former U.S. President Donald Trump suggested that Iran might be open to negotiations. However, he made it clear that the current proposals from Tehran are not acceptable. Trump emphasized that any agreement would have to include one critical condition: Iran must completely abandon its nuclear ambitions. While speaking during a television interview, Trump also claimed that recent U.S. military operations had severely damaged infrastructure connected to Iran's major oil export hub located on Khark Island. This island is not just another location on the map. It is considered one of the most important economic lifelines for Iran, as a large portion of the country's oil exports passes through this strategic hub. Because of this, the island has now become one of the central flashpoints of the ongoing war. But the story doesn't stop there. Iran has strongly reacted to these attacks. Officials in Tehran have warned that the conflict could escalate even further if military operations continue. In a surprising move, Iranian authorities even issued warnings suggesting that some Gulf countries should consider evacuating port areas, particularly in places where vital energy infrastructure exists. These statements immediately raised alarm across the region because the Persian Gulf is one of the most important energy corridors in the world. These statements immediately raised alarm across the region because the Persian Gulf is one of the most important energy corridors in the world. If tensions there continue to rise, the global economy could also feel the shock. Recent satellite images and military reports suggest that several missile strikes have taken place against what the U.S. military describes as Iranian strategic targets. These attacks come as the war officially enters its third week of active conflict. Iran has responded with defiant statements, insisting that it will continue defending its national interests. One of the most important areas involved in this situation is Khark Island, located close to Iran's coastline. Experts estimate that nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports move through nearby shipping routes, much of which is transported toward major energy markets such as China. For now, the United States says it has targeted military installations only, avoiding direct strikes on oil infrastructure. However, officials have also warned that this strategy could change if Iran continues actions that threaten commercial shipping routes. Now here's something that makes this situation even more serious. One of the most sensitive locations involved in the conflict is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage is one of the most critical shipping routes on the planet. Every day, a huge portion of the world's oil supply travels through this waterway. If that route were to be blocked or disrupted, energy prices around the world could skyrocket. And, according to several political analysts, this is exactly why global powers are watching the situation so closely. But the big question remains: who will control this vital shipping lane if tensions keep rising? Keep watching, because the answer could shape the future of the region. In response to these developments, the United States has called on several major countries to help maintain security in the region. Nations including the United Kingdom, France, and even China have been encouraged to assist in protecting shipping routes and maintaining freedom of navigation. Reports have also shown American military aircraft preparing for operations at RAF Fairford in the United Kingdom, although no official confirmation has been given regarding further joint operations. Meanwhile, diplomatic discussions are quietly taking place behind the scenes. Some leaders believe that negotiations could still prevent the conflict from growing into a larger war. However, reaching a deal will not be easy. While political leaders debate strategy, the human cost of the conflict continues to rise. Reports from the region indicate that hundreds of lives have already been lost since the fighting intensified. In Lebanon alone, hundreds of casualties have been reported following military operations linked to the broader conflict. Thousands of civilians have also been forced to leave their homes due to evacuation orders and safety concerns. This growing humanitarian situation has added another layer of urgency to international efforts aimed at reducing tensions. Despite the ongoing fighting, there are signs that diplomacy may still play a role in resolving the crisis. Some international leaders have suggested organizing negotiations in neutral locations such as France or Cyprus. If these talks move forward, they could represent a historic moment. Direct discussions between certain rival parties in the region have rarely taken place before. However, experts warn that reaching a long-term agreement will require addressing multiple complicated issues, including security guarantees, regional alliances, and military operations. Meanwhile, countries across the Gulf region remain on high alert. Air defense systems have reportedly intercepted several aerial threats, including drones and missiles. Authorities in cities such as Dubai have confirmed that defensive systems were activated to prevent potential damage. Iranian officials have stated that their military actions are focused on strategic objectives and that civilian infrastructure is not being intentionally targeted. Nevertheless, the overall atmosphere in the region remains tense as uncertainty continues to grow. Military analysts say that the conflict demonstrates a major imbalance in conventional military strength. However, they also point out that Iran has often relied on asymmetric strategies, which can allow a smaller force to create significant disruptions against larger powers. This means that even if one side holds stronger military capabilities, the conflict could still continue for a long period. For many countries in the region, the biggest concern is stability. Any prolonged conflict could affect trade routes, security partnerships, and regional cooperation. So where does this leave the world today? The war between the United States, Israel, and Iran has now entered a critical phase. Military operations are continuing, diplomatic channels are being explored, and the global community is watching closely to see what happens next. Will negotiations lead to a breakthrough that prevents a wider conflict? Or will tensions escalate even further in the coming weeks? Only time will reveal the answer. If you found this breakdown helpful and want more updates on major global events, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more detailed analysis and updates. And tell us in the comments, do you think this conflict will end through diplomacy or escalate into something much bigger? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.